Hello, Mixer. How we doing this evening? Doing cheesecake tonight. You never know we're stuck in our house. We got organic mac and cheese to do tonight as well. So, gonna do stovetop mac and cheese. Not gonna be baking that. Not gonna be doing all the fancy breadcrumbs and all that jazz. But I'm gonna make a bechamel from scratch, and I'm gonna use pre-made pasta. Obviously, I'm not gonna be making. Don't have a spreller. What do you call it? Italian pasta press. Push it through a die. Anyways, don't have one of those, so we're not making our own macaroni. But got organic macaroni. Gonna be making cheese sauce. Gonna be doing a Basque cheesecake, and this is the first time I've tried doing a Basque cheesecake. Sort of a different deal than your typical New York cheesecake. Got a lot more cheese to it, and a lot less egg. So it's much heavier cheesecake. And there's no real crust to the bottom of it. It's really all just cheesecake. And it essentially forms its own crust, much like many cheeses do, by essentially burning it. We're not really going to burn it, but we're going to bring it up pretty dark. And that sort of creates its own crust from the cooking. If you haven't seen it before, you should check it out. See how I do it, and then compare it to the rest of the world. Cheese here has been setting out, so there's absolutely room temp. This is not one of those recipes that is probably best done with a stand mixer, if you got one. I'm going to give my arms a workout here with the spatula, getting the sugar and cream cheese to mix together here in a little bit. But otherwise, this is all pretty easy to go evening. We got a nice Pinot Noir with a rather shocking label going on there. Iris, I have not heard of this. I haven't heard of 1849 Wine Company before. Sounds like they're all over the place, which, as the cheaper wines go, or even more expensive wines go, they're probably buying the grapes. But like I said before, it's all a matter of, you can have great wine that wasn't grown by the person. You can also have horrible wine that was grown from a specific vineyard. Is that working? There we go. Turn my fan on. So, we got that going on. Not 100% sure where I want to actually start with things tonight. I hadn't really thought things through that much. Let's see what we got here for recipes. I know the Basque cheesecake shouldn't take too long to bake here. It's pretty much a bake and done, and I think if there's any major... Yeah, bake 60 minutes. Okay, and we're supposed to let it chill. So we'll start with the cheesecake here this evening, because we'll have to wait for it to cook in the oven, and that'll give us time to work on our mac and cheese. So we got 2 pounds of cream cheese there. There we go. I can see OBS again. Cute little cardboard containers, but they're rather useless. Pretty sure they do fine just in the foil like that. I don't know, maybe Clover's shipping stuff a lot further than I think these days. So I'm actually debating what I'm going to do about this whole stuck in the house thing. Um, I mean, it's something that I don't think is going to be over immediately. And so I'm actually pondering the idea of getting myself a freezer. Like a little side freezer that I can just... Because I used to get meat in packages, and I used to I'm essentially considering the idea of buying quarters and halves of animals at this point. Especially since I could break them down here on stream and show people how it all works. Still debating that. That may be something to come here. All right. Let's see if I even need these guys. Yeah. Trying to keep as much of the cream cheese off of my fingers here to start. I have a feeling it'll eventually get on them. Oops. Oh, come on. Just peel open. Though speaking of containers, you think you could design a better system than this for holding these things? Just wrap it in foil. Margins obviously aren't tight enough that they're using wax paper like they do for butter. Hey Legacy, how you doing? Or how Wolf? How you doing, Wolf? How you doing? How's it been? Been a little while since I seen you. Doing Pinot tonight. Doing light and fruity with our cheesy meal. Be right back. Oh, hey, Royal Running. I didn't notice you there either. Sorry, I sort of got into a roll there and wasn't looking at chat. Nice. Oh, what are you complaining about now, Windows? Excuse me. Interesting. Let me look at something here, see if I still got space on my drive here. Ooh. That's not good. Let's see if I can do this without crashing my stream here. Okay. Well, apparently I record my streams, and then after I'm done, I move them to a different drive. Apparently, I haven't kept up to that. My C drive is now full, and so let's hope that things don't crash out on me here as I try and copy over one of my old streams while I'm actively streaming. So let's hope this still works. Thank you for the sparks, Legacy Wolf. Grab a clean spatula here and get good stuff up off the board. I inevitably will need another spatula here. Okay, so this all needs to be nice and smooth and soft, and I made sure and got this out a good 3 hours or so ago, so it's all nice and definitely room temp. Still rather hard to move around, even though it's soft compared to usual. Okay, let's mix in our 1.5 cups of sugar. Thank you for the host, Bumper Chip. We got 1 cup and half cup. And we want to, just like we're making cookies, going to cream this. We want this to be the point where we're not noticing any differences between the sugar and the fat. Make sure all of those individual granules of sugar need to be coated with fat. That's our ultimate goal here. Is yeah, I don't know. Does he lose levels? Because I just changed his name. Does he lose his rank? it's going to take a minute for our oven to get up to temp, so I'm going to start that now. Not a timer, bake. So I'm setting the oven up for 400 degrees here. I don't know, I think you probably have the most gold in the room too, Wolf. Well, other than me. I don't know if it is or not, because it's a new. Does it act as a new name in the room? Acting a bit more like frosting now. I think we got that sugar pretty well incorporated in there now. I know it's not exactly fully creamed in there as much as I would like it to be with a stand mixer, but yeah. My lurking has brought me to new levels. I leave my main account on in some channel most of the time these days. Whether I'm paying attention to it or not. Some might call it farming sparks. It's sort of nice to have a nice depository to help out your partner streamers when they actually need some sparks, which is actually sort of rare these days now that they have a cap. But yeah, they keep getting slower now too. It's like I'm playing an MMO. Yeah, it's getting into our hell levels here. Okay, so we got our sugar. We got 6 large eggs going into this bad boy. So let's pull out some eggs here. There's more than we need, but it's easier to just pull them all out. Yeah, I don't know if starting streamers really want sparks. I mean, I don't really... I appreciate that people want to give me sparks, but they don't really help me much. It's sort of weird how they've decided to implement them as far as the lower streamers, and I almost want to think that they have other plans for them here in the future. But, I mean, if you know of any partners that don't have, you know, a gazillion, I have over 6 million sitting in my account right now. It's just, if you can find yourself a new partner, or a partner that one of the really old partners that's maybe sort of fallen out, doesn't have a ton of followers or something like that, sparks can be huge for them, because if they've only got a small amount and they're not capping out their sparks, you can help them out. But for the big guys and the little guys, they don't seem to matter too much. So I'm just adding these in one at a time here. Sorry, Catbot doesn't like that, or Streamlabs doesn't like that. Sorry. But yes, 6 million. Let me look at my account. I currently have 6,065,750 sparks to dole out. Streamlabs didn't like that you were using caps, and actually just purged all of your old chat. And now Windows want to start updates. What is with Windows tonight? Don't worry about it, Wolf. It's just Streamlabs. I should probably lower the threshold there. Wow. Well, like I said, I went and filled up my C drive without thinking about it, and so it transferred that one that I just sent already, though. So I've sent it into full-blown panic mode. I need space. I need help. Even though it finished transferring that video now, so it's probably got more than enough room to handle the rest of this stream without any issue. Okay, I believe that was number 6 right there. Alright, so need a little vanilla extract. And why not? Since we're adding vanilla, we just might as well add some real flavor to the stuff. So we got our vanilla, salt, and cream. Got salt. How is this thing supposed to fit in a single tin? This is a one cheesecake recipe here. And from a decent source, too. I'm wondering if this is even going to fit in this pan. Two cups of cream. Okay, so we got our cream cheese, our sugar, our eggs, our heavy cream, our salt, our vanilla. And last thing, we need about 1/3 of a cup of flour. Put our eggs back away. Yeah, Wolf, you missed me on Wednesday? Yeah, I think it was Wednesday. I cooked 4 dozen eggs. I bought 3 flats of eggs from a local farm that was looking to sell them cheap because they were supposed to go to restaurants that are now closed. So that was good. I pickled some. I made some hard-boiled eggs, and using some here in the cheesecake, and trying to come up with a whole bunch of egg recipes. I'm using them for lunch now that I'm stuck at home. That sort of a thing. Good stuff. Give our cream bottle a rinse out here, so we can return that for our $2. Okay, so that is our cheesecake batter, which seems rather loose and rather soft and loose. Okay, I'm gonna take this off of the board for a moment. Switch to our pan here, which I'm not going to do it because I have a non-stick springform. But the original recipe suggests you butter the springform before you add parchment, like I'm doing now to it. Like I said, I don't think I'm going to need to bother. Put this down in there. We want it to sit sort of nice and in there. Just sort of squeeze it down in. Part of the whole rustic look of this pie is how it's being baked here in this tin with the parchment around the sides. Okay. This is going to fill it out anyways once I start pouring it in there. Yeah, that should hold it in place. There we go. Wow, that fills out the pan. Yeah, there's not much I can do with that little messy section there. It's just going to be messy. Chalk that up to first time issues. Wow. Okay, so I don't know how to go about this. I think I'm going to put a pan with some parchment underneath it. Because with the egg, I could easily see this thing puffing up like a souffle here. And I know that it's supposed to puff up some and compress some, but let's hope our bottom is solid. Yep, okay. Again, like I said, this is a springform pan. I don't know if... Yeah. There's the buckle on the side of the springform. No water bath like you would normally use with the cheesecake with this one. After all, we're going for our burnt cheesecake. And actually the burning is... I mean, we don't have any acid in this. Most of your cheesecakes, your New York style cheesecakes, you'll have some lemon or some sort of acid in there that'll help brighten things up and bring those cheesy flavors out. This, it's more we're going to have this sort of burnt exterior that's going to give you a slight bitterness compared to the sweet interior. So, any plans for Wednesday? Yes, I have all sorts of plans these days. I don't know if I have listed plans for this Wednesday, though. Let's see here. If there is, it's down in my info section down here. Pork chop with polenta. Pork chop polenta, yeah. That's one of my last setups here for food I still got kicking around the house. Gonna have to start getting creative here after that, unless I go out for more food. But going to be doing, I've got a pork chop, I've got polenta on the in my dry storage over there. Figure we can do that with some maple and some loveliness along that line. And not 100% sure what I'm doing for a green of some sort. I'm thinking of doing some braised cabbage. I've got some bacon kicking around in the fridge. I've got cabbage. I've got some spinach too. So we could do a sort of braised greens thing for Wednesday. That'd be fun. So that's Wednesday. Friday I don't have plans yet. Sunday, not 100% sure either. And yes, you just heard me echo because my page was reloading and it didn't mute for some reason. Anyways, Yes, upcoming plans. Have upcoming cook-along down below there in the info section, too. Going to be doing spatchcock chicken. If you want to join me one of these times and cook what I'm cooking. There's a link there with all the ingredients you'll need and all the equipment you'll need. .400-degree oven, 1 hour. Not happy, but the best answer I've got. I mean, me myself, I'm already sort of a hermit, so it's not too much of a change for me to be stuck at home. But I worry for family members. I worry for the fact that our government hasn't prepared properly. But beyond that, let's not talk about that. Let's have some fun and eat some good food, and let's drink some good wine. Got a real cork on this bottle. And custom labeled, that's good. Cork's not looking that great though. Ooh, cork's not looking good at all, really. Oh, I hope this wine ain't spoiled. Now this is a sign of, this is how they used to always say you look at the cork to, it's not really true in modern days. It's mostly how you tell if you got a spoiled bottle of wine. It's not necessarily an indication of any quality of some sort, and smelling the cork is a waste of your time. But when you look at a cork, this all looks fine. This is all nice and normal. You come over here, you start seeing this haze going up the side of it here, and it leads all the way to the tip. And so you've had moisture in this cork go all the way through this cork. I'm going to give this a shot, but this is a pretty good candidate for probably a corked wine. It's even looking that way a little bit to me now, which I may be psyching myself out here. Yeah, this is corked. Ugh. I would love to do a cooking stream with my family, but my family is primarily on the other side of the continent. So it's not something that's going to happen anytime soon. Yeah. Ugh. Now that's the downside of wine. I don't want to drink this, even though this could be an amazing wine. This is not a fault of the wine itself. But that was a ruined bottle. So, no wine tonight. Corked means it's sort of a generic term for ruined wine. In this case, like I said, it looks very much to me like moisture or air got past the cork here. Or maybe even mold, any one of the sort. Actually, maybe get that a little bit closer. You can actually see what I'm talking about there. Goes all the way across that cork. See my lovely bloody thumb too, but yeah, not a good sign when you're looking at a cork to have staining or patterning like that. The rest of this looks fine. So corked could mean air got into the bottle, which means it's going to turn into more of like a vinegar. When you leave alcohol, it either oxidizes or it turns to vinegar. Oxidizing doesn't taste good. Vinegar obviously is not what you want in your wine. In this case, there were definite sour notes, which are not a good sign. Which I think something funky actually probably got into that wine. Which is another possibility. There's all sorts of things. But in other words, it's just a wine that something got past the cork or past the seal and ruined it. So obviously something you don't want in wine, something that can happen, and it's sort of a bummer because you go to a restaurant and you get a corked wine. Depending on the restaurant, sleazy restaurants are just going to leave you with the bill for that. And if it's a really expensive wine, even non-sleazy ones will probably still give it to you. Still force you to take the hit. But yeah, that's actually the first one that I've had on stream here. So, it's not that common of a thing. But I still don't have a drink, so let's fix that. Hey, Mr. Toggs. How you doing this evening? Going to switch over to the stove here now. I'm going to do pasta. I'm going to do the low water method for pasta. I think, Wolf, you've been around here for this. I don't know if you've been around for it, Mr. Toggs. But when I'm doing dried pasta, I don't use a lot of water. I don't follow that old Italian mentality. When I'm using dried pasta, pre-made pasta, I go with the rice method. There's a great video here, I'll show it to you guys in a sec, of, what's his name? Wow, I really can't remember his name. Harold McGee. Not really a food scientist, but sort of a food scientist. And so we got 2 pounds of pasta there, and so we're going to add 2.2 pounds of water, or 2.4 pounds of water. So there's 2 pints of water and our 0.2. Cover that. Still not quite ready for that, but we're set up for it to start it when we need to. Add a bit of salt so our pasta actually tastes like something. And we're going to start a flame down here in the bottom. Get ourselves some butter. That looks like a good amount of butter. It's nice when you have a pre-cut set amount of butter sitting in the fridge. Starting our roux here for our cheese sauce. I've got some Gouda and I've got some cheddar that we're going to use for this tonight. Just a coffin machine tonight. Nice hefty dose of flour there. And a couple of chicken stock cubes to this. If you don't have chicken stock cubes, you can just do water instead. But the idea is we're trying to cool us down a little bit before we throw the cream in there. Just a little bit, not a lot. The water will do enough for you. In fact, I'm a little worried the ice cubes won't melt fast enough. We've cooled that down enough. Now we'll add in a bit of dairy. I typically just use you can use cream, you can use milk with some butter. I typically use half and half because I buy half and half to have around for my coffee already, so it's already in the house. Legacy Wolf, I've got some cheddar. I've actually got more cheddar and a mild cheddar, and I've got some Gouda. So we'll do a combination of cheddar and Gouda, which is certainly American style mac and cheese. we'll wait for that to come back up to a boil here. Actually, need to move this away from the heat. Oops. Sorry for the bang there. We got leftover Gouda. We got cheddar. Ooh, it's a British cheddar. It's cheap. It was their stack of cheap cheddar. People all want to be fancy about what sort of cheese they're using in their mac and cheese. Mac and cheese is not the time to be fancy about your cheese. Have a good time at work, Wolf. Have a great evening. Thanks for stopping by. I mean, you're melting it into there, and I mean, if you want to feature some of it, you can throw some on top of it or something like that, but using it as a cheese sauce is not the way to feature a flavor of a cheese. I mean, if I wanted flavor, I've got some blue cheese in there from doing the eggs on Wednesday. I've got some Swiss cheese from working with the chicken. I could have maybe thrown the Swiss on there, but it would have been a weird switch to the flavor change. And so I decided to just do cheddar. It's crumbly stuff. Got another 35 minutes to go on our cheesecake in the oven. Though our cheesecake this is a cheesecake that you want to make ahead of time, because this is not going to be ready to eat like right out of the oven. Not that regular cheesecake is really ready to eat right out of the oven either. You sort of want to let it chill down and set a little bit. This one is not only going to chill down and set, it's going to settle quite a bit. It's going to be, I sort of predict it's going to be like one of those microwave mug cakes where we've got 6 eggs in there, and so it's going to puff up like a big, actually let's take a look and see if it's puffed up. It has puffed up a little bit, but not much. But I expect it to puff up like a big souffle and then collapse in the center for a large part. And that's how a lot of them look, if you look at them online. So I'm not going to be depressed if that happens. Including the place where they're made and made famous in France. So we got our Gouda cheese and our cheddar cheese. Okay, whisk time. add some water to this, thin it out a bit. May have not been enough, we'll see here. Don't want to add too much water, obviously, because then our only real option for getting rid of it is overcooking our cheese sauce. But we do want to have a decent amount of moisture in here so that when we add in our cheese, it doesn't completely seize up on us. So this is still probably too thick, but we'll let this sit and bubble for a little bit. Actually, that is still too thick. Okay. I probably added over a cup of water there. That's a little bit close to the consistency we're looking for. Okay, so now we're going to start cooking pasta back here. Turn that up to a decent high flame here, medium high. And we want to bring that up to a raging boil. We want those pasta getting hot. Get that, and it's all encased in that with the lid on there and everything. The water's cold, the pasta's cold. It's the reason why it's not going to stick as much. It will stick a little bit, especially working with small things like elbow pasta or the really small shapes, like if you're using orzo or something like that. It will have a little bit more of a tendency to stick. But as soon as you add that sauce in there and you give it a quick mix, it breaks apart no problem. Actually, here, let me look up that video here for this. Hey, Trigger Happy. Turning this low in the front. We brought it up to a boil. We don't need to keep it at a boil. Let's see here. Main plus PC. Let's try that. Oops. Need it to be unmuted first. There we go.
Most traditional recipes for making pasta tell you to start out with lots and lots of water and heat it up to the boil before you add the pasta. Turns out that you don't need to do that. You can save a lot of time, a lot of water, a lot of energy by starting out with cold water and a frying pan. Put the pasta in the frying pan, pour 1.5 quarts or so of water on top of the pasta, turn on the heat, and because the water is cold, the pasta won't stick to itself at the very beginning. When it's done, you have pasta that's perfectly cooked and you have a thickened liquid that you can use to make all kinds of sauces.
So that's what I'm doing. As far as the pasta back here, that's what we got going on. I'm using the single pan method for that. We have a bechamel here, sort of a bechamel, not 100% true to form bechamel, but we have a roux with half and half and a little bit of chicken stock in there. I've got Basque cheesecake sitting in the oven. That's got another, let's see, 28 minutes or so here. That's starting to look pretty. I looked in there a couple minutes ago and I spilled some of it on the parchment. The stuff on the parchment's already looking, right there. So thinking I got the formulation probably right, but we'll see here. First time doing that, so learning as we go. I've obviously made mac and cheese on the stove before. This isn't something new to me. Add some salt, some pepper, no, I'm not using white pepper. I have white pepper, I'm not bothering. MSG. Wow. We have a little bit of the darker yellow here is some leftover Gruyere or Gouda. Sorry, not Gruyere, Gouda. And this is a UK cheddar, a mild cheddar. This was partly to use up the Gouda. I did have some. I might have some Swiss cheese going bad here. I don't have it. I'm gonna have to make some plans for that. I used Swiss cheese for the stuffed chicken on Friday, which came out great, by the way. Well, U.S. standards for cheese. All you have to do is cut it off. Not kidding either. Yeah, that can happen too. But that's why, that's why they sell, besides the fact that it's a pain in the butt to shred cheese, that's the reason why they sell all of it in blocks and cubes and large bunches. It's because you buy a bunch of it and it goes in your fridge and it goes moldy. You're in a restaurant, you just cut it off. You have it shredded and it goes moldy, you got to throw the whole thing out. Yeah. Yeah. That's why it might happen with my Swiss cheese. I'm not a big Swiss cheese eater. I don't mind it, but it's not. I thought it would be interesting and different for the recipe on Friday, which it was. It worked out well. But I also have blue cheese that I'm not throwing in here too. I love blue cheese, just doesn't make much sense in this. I have some ground grated parm that I'll throw over the top, but I'm not going to mix it in. Yeah, I don't mind Swiss. You know, you hand me a mushroom Swiss burger, I'm gonna enjoy it. It's gonna be a good time, but I'm not gonna order it at the same time. If you get what I mean, it's not what I'm jumping to. We do have a fan back there, yes. Oh, forgot this is our back one. We gotta turn that guy up high. We're gonna get that up to a boil. In fact, I'm gonna switch this to a front burner where we'll get a real flame going here. I don't even really, I grabbed cheddar for this, but I actually like Gouda. And, what was the other one that I said I'm mistaken instead of it as, but there's other cheeses that I like better for cheese sauce because they have different flavors to them, but just when I'm generic, you know, we're eating for isolation. All right, Trigger, thanks for stopping by. I hope you have a great evening. See what else is going on here in the world right now. See what's fallen apart since I started my stream. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, sorry. No. Refill my water here. I don't think this thing is ever going to flash replace. It's been flashing. It's okay for ages and ages and ages. I just got a notification on my phone that it was time to replace it, so I think it's going to get replaced tonight. But notification on the phone because I set reminders to myself to do things like that. You know, you got to change it in a month. I'm setting a reminder because I ain't remembering. Let's see. Let's look at our burnt cheesecake down here. We're still looking okay. It's starting to puff up pretty good now. Got the whole side roll coming into the center thing going on. It's growing up the sides. Too bad that Irish didn't work out. That was a cool looking bottle. I mean, I don't typically buy my wine based on the bottle, but as far as labels go, that's rather unique. I think this is still a bit too thick. I'm going to add still a bit more water to that. Of course. Of course. And more of course. Wow. Starting to get there on the bubble. We're getting a couple small bubbles here. Good evening, Mrs. Toggs. How are we tonight? You've caught me at that perfect, it's in the oven stage. We got Basque burnt cheesecake with another 14 minutes or so to go. And I've got pasta cooking along with a bechamel on the stove. And cheese ready to go in as soon as that's ready. I am quite dandy this evening. Got myself a nice lovely afternoon nap and bright-eyed and bushy-tailed for streaming this evening. Unfortunately, my wine tonight ended up being corked. It was the first corked wine I've had on stream, so that didn't work out too well, unfortunately. Had to settle for bourbon. I'll be right back. Throw these out. Yeah. Well, I'm still up the nice bottle of wine, but yeah. Uh, where did I do with that cork? Here. Yeah. I was showing everyone what a corked wine cork looks. And you can see how the wine traveled all the way past this cork, or mold or air or something got past that cork in that direction. The rest of it looks fine. But, yeah, no bueno. That's why you inspect a wine cork, not because you want to smell it or something silly like that. Yeah, it's a mac and cheese time of year. Maybe a mac and cheese state of mind right now, too. I love how there's news articles everywhere right now that there's a factory working 24 hours a day to make Kraft mac and cheese right now. And it's sort of like, myself, I'm thinking, there's probably always a factory going 24/7 making mac and cheese. Oh, there, that's up to a full boil. We're going to shut that off now. We're going to give that 10 minutes from here. Just like rice pilaf. I am using, give me one sec. I have blue cheese and Swiss in the fridge that I'm not using, but we have some leftover Gouda, which is the darker section here, and we have a cheap British mild cheddar for the bulk of it. And then I'm going to top it with a little bit of grated parm. I like Gouda for my mac and cheese. I like, there's a couple of different cheeses that I'm just not spacing on. I just can't remember that I like for mac and cheese. I don't typically go for cheddar. I'll often use cheddar as sort of like the background and not a sharp one either. Add our cheese to our sauce here. We got 10 minutes. Sorry, I don't put my pans directly on my cutting board, otherwise I'd have this nice and great visual of throwing all that cheese in there for you. gonna leave that just like that. It's not that I want anything like exotic. It's just like, to be honest, I like the more like buttery, richer cheeses than cheddar. Cheddar has usually got a bit more acid, a bit more bite to it. Or it's more sharp. Sorry, not acidic. It's sharp. And even with mild cheddar, it's sharp. Compared to a more like flat, buttery, just ooey gooey. So that's what I'm shooting for here. Kill the heat underneath the cheese sauce now. I forgot when I said we needed 10 minutes on this, so I'm going to wait until about 6 o'clock here on that. Pull out our cheesecake, and then I'll mix the mac and cheese together. Well, that is if the cheesecake is ready here in 6 minutes. I don't want to open the oven, especially now that it's heating. That noise, by the way, is the oven kicking back on. Yeah, kids... It's so sad that through school and all that, kids are basically indoctrinated to eat all of our junk American foods. They all want our neon orange powdered mac and cheese, and they all want chicken nuggets, and not necessarily talking about your kids, I'm talking kids in general, obviously. I didn't get to use my wine glass. I've had some pretty good mac and cheeses in the past that had wine and were wine studded in the past. So. Oh yeah, you could absolutely do it'd be awesome plating for a seafood mac and cheese. You could do a riff on the old shrimp cocktail. Do like a crab mac and cheese with a couple of cooked shrimp hanging off the side. But there's some cool things you can do with mac and cheese that, I mean, a lot of people just want their like straight and narrow mac and cheese, but you can get into, you do a wine reduction, you start doing like a beurre blanc like sauce for it or something like that. You can do some cool stuff. Burnt cheesecake is a Basque style cheesecake. It's a French style, it's made famous by a specific location, a specific restaurant in France. And so it doesn't have a crust like New York style. It's a much heavier. There's actually 2 pounds of cream cheese in this, whereas a New York style cheesecake is going to use less. I don't know off the top of my head how much less, but less, along with more eggs. And so, yeah. it and you actually want to get some color on this cheesecake. You want to get it dark, and that's sort of the whole thing. Is you're sort of creating the crust by cooking it hot and fast, and the inside is a little bit looser and softer. Um, its crust is basically the parchment that I poured it into. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Like this is actually the recipe I'm using. That guy. That looks rather pretty, doesn't it? That's sort of what we're shooting for here. And Bon Appetit recipe. It's originally from a small little restaurant in France. It's been around for ages, sort of a thing. It's sort of been made famous in recent years. Let's see what we got here. Oh, that needs some more time. So we're gonna finish our cheese instead. Mac and cheese. So we got our now well-cooked pasta. And one of the benefits of cooking pasta this way, besides the fact that you don't have to waste a ton of water and throw it into your garden, is you can't really overcook the pasta because there's no water to overcook it with. It's going to absorb what water it has available to it here. And so we'll add our cheese. There's a little bit of liquid at the bottom of the pan. We're not worried about that. That's just going to help thicken everything up. So that's looking good. We'll give that a cover to stay warm. I'm wondering how I'm gonna lose any weight sitting around the home all day. Situation with the cheesecake, we got some nice browning around the edges, around the sides of it. The center of it hasn't really cooked through yet. A little worried that the oven isn't cooking hot enough for this. Let's make sure that I got this the right temp. Yeah, got the right temp. So maybe we're just going to let it go a little bit longer here. Maybe my oven's I seem to think my oven runs hotter. I think my oven runs about 20 degrees hotter, but maybe it's just that it's fluctuating that much more, and it's that much off kilter. No, it is not a convection oven. It's a conventional. Yeah, I'm Northern California. There's pathways every which way from my house right now that I can take to go, you know, I can walk for miles and be on trails from my house without an issue, and I just don't want to really go outside right now. No, it's not a convection oven. I do have my mobile kitchen that I own has 2 convection ovens in it. Those are nice, but a couple of blodgets. But my home kitchen here, my rented home, it's not like I can, be unhappy with the stove and swap it out. It's not mine. So. Yeah, commercial equipment just all across the board is so much better. It's easier to clean. It's easier to maintain. It's just so expensive. And it's all designed to last a gazillion years. I think they designed it all to last a gazillion years is because restaurants always go bankrupt, and so the bank actually has something to take away from them. You want to outfit a commercial kitchen here in California without getting into legalities and jumping through permits and licenses and all that harassment. You're looking at probably $100 or $200 just for equipment. That's not for installing the equipment. That's not for plumbing your sinks. That's not for. It is not a cheap business to get into, and I feel so sorry for all of these small independent restaurateurs who they have no business anymore. We're going on, what is it now? Something like 15 million unemployed because of this now? But yeah, the kitchens, each piece of equipment you're looking at in a commercial kitchen, you're probably dropping $5,000, and that's cheap. You want a single fryer, that's $5,000. Well, fryer maybe 2,500, $3,000. These aren't used prices. You can find used prices and stuff, but this is general cheap retail in my mind. You can do $2,500, $3,000 on a new fryer pretty easily. Oh yeah, none of these businesses are going to survive on takeout. When you're designing a restaurant, you're designing a restaurant off of the fact that you have a dining room that you have to pay for, and you need to fill those seats in order to make the money. This whole takeout thing the whole takeout thing to begin with was killing restaurants. The idea that someone, when you're at home and you're ordering takeout from one of these DoorDash or Uber Eats or one of these along that line, you're paying Uber Eats, you're paying DoorDash, and that's a cut of money that's not going to the restaurant, just on the very basis of it. That's not without the fact that to-go sales, you need to have a cashier. And that cashier is not going to be tipped. So either you have to pay full hourly to that person or lie to them and expect them to try and get tips. It's just not, and then you have to pay, as a restaurant, you have to pay for packaging because it's all to go. And for a restaurant, you know, you can clean plates a lot cheaper than buying plastic containers for everything. It's a nightmare for restaurants. It's not how they should be operating. But I really don't see an option for it because this ain't gonna be over next month. This ain't gonna be over the month after that. This is gonna be a long-term thing. I mean, we may find some miracle drug tomorrow that'll help us with the people that are sick in the hospital. But I mean, when it comes to making a drug that's gonna be available for the public, for everyone, we're not going to do that overnight. We're stuck at home for a while. They talk about, you know, a timeline for a drug, and they're talking 14, 18 months next year at best. Yeah, don't want to go there. Let's see how this cheesecake's looking. I almost want to pull it out. I don't. I do, but I don't. Something actually on my bowl. It's got a white pattern to it, but I'm wondering if that's something actually stuck on the bowl. Excuse me. Alright, we'll just use this guy instead. No, Trigger, unfortunately my wine tonight was corked. It's the first wine I've had on stream that was corked. Had a sour note to the wine, and if you look at the cork here, you can see that there's sort of like this moldy dark section going across the whole cork. So either air or moisture or something got past this cork, made its way into the wine while it was in storage. And so I had to switch over to Glencairn. Yeah, that's unfortunate. It happens in wine, so it's, I mean, well, I'm not done with that yet. We'll do little grated Parmesan. And we'll do the, even though I don't really want the heat, it'll look good for color. Little red pepper flake. It didn't show up very well on camera. It looks a lot better in person. Oh well, you'll see the photo. Okay. Well, I've got some onions trying to make green onions, but no, I don't have any green onions right now. Some chives would be great on that right now. I have some thyme and some rosemary I could have thrown in there for the photo, but I wouldn't really want them for flavor. There's a number of things you could do for that there. You could throw, I mean, the traditional sprig of parsley. The plate's been checked by the chef. There's a piece of parsley. Forgetting who did that. That's classic European too. Brigade system stuff. Yeah, I'm forgetting who it was that did that. Whether it was Karem, one of the big names of old school European cooking is his claim to fame, and why you see parsley on plates is not only the fact that parsley was chewed by people sort of like in place of mint back in the days to sort of, make your breath fresh once again. That's part of it, but putting parsley on the plate was, in his older age and his later years, when he really wasn't working the kitchen, he was really just sitting in the corner, he still approved every plate going out of the kitchen, and the mark that he had proved that plate was there was a sprig of parsley on it. Okay, we're pulling that out now. Move my towels for getting where I put them now. Now this guy is going to settle. So don't think that this is going to stay puffed up like this forever. But that is warm. That is warm. That is warm. That is warm. There we go. Yeah. Now see, I wanted to get the center to get some more color to it, but it just wasn't really doing it. So, gonna let that settle. And this is one of those situations, this cake, we're gonna let this settle for, I'd say, at least 2 hours. I mean, you want this to cool down the room temp. You normally want your cheesecakes to cool. Cheesecake's normally not something you cut into immediately. But this is definitely, you wait on this. And this is one of those ones that, yeah. But yeah, happy how this turned out. This is looking pretty. My favorite dessert, I don't know that I have a favorite dessert. It sort of matters what's going on at the time. I mean, first off, my thing is I don't have a lot of cult favorites. This is probably one of my biggest cult favorites, and that's just ingrained in your brain since being born in America. For me, I have much more enjoyment in trying new things and trying different processes and seeing how different processes work together and different. I'm very much, I don't remember names, I don't remember dates. I remember how things work, and I remember how processes and systems work. Much more so. I mean, I remember some stuff, but and so that's what intrigues me about food is different cutting techniques, different cooking techniques, different flavors, different combinations of flavors. So that's where I am. But this guy is gonna have to chill out for a little bit here. I don't want to mess with him because it's just gonna make it deflate even more. And I'm gonna go and enjoy my mac and cheese. I love chocolate chip cookies. I've actually done chocolate chip cookies 2 or 3 times now and streamed different ways. I tried to do chocolate chip cookies in a waffle maker, which is mostly a fail. I have pictures on my Instagram of those, but I could see them being very successful really in only one situation. One where you've already figured out how high you need to turn your waffle maker up to, and 2 being you're only going to do 4 cookies. If you do that, you're going to do 4 cookies on your waffle maker. You have the temperature dialed in. You can just cook them and then forget their layer and let them cool on the grates. Then they'll be easy to pull off. They'll come out tasting great. But if you're trying to do more than 4, you're trying to pull them off hot, that's lost cause. Anyways, before sidetrack with chocolate chips, thank you guys all for joining me this evening. I hope you all give me a follow. I hope you all join me again. I will be back here on Wednesday with pork chop and polenta and some sort of braised green. I've got upcoming new cook-along ingredients and equipment down below for next month. And I'll give you a picture of what this is once I slice it online too. But otherwise, Instagram photos going up in a couple of minutes. Hope you all have a lovely evening. Thanks for joining me.